Alright, this video is a review from section 5.8, and this would be a calculator question, okay? And it says, identify the that should say x-intercepts and the locations of the local maximums or minimums. Round your answers to the nearest hundredth place, okay? Follow those directions. Those would be really silly points to lose. So, pause the video, put this polynomial function into your y equals, and see if you can find the x-intercepts and all the local maximums and minimums, and then we'll compare answers. And the graph looks kind of like this. So if you don't see that, then go back and check and start over, because you should, maybe you typed something in correctly, so you should see this graph. Alright, these are the answers, so you can double check the x-intercepts. You had two of them, and they were at negative 2.66 and negative 0.89, rounded to the hundredth. There were two minimums. This one was negative 2, negative 8, and this one was 1.25 and 0.58. And then the maximum in the green here was 0.4, and on my calculator this said like 7 point something e to the negative 7th. Well, that's pretty close to 0. So I just, rounded that to 0, of course. All right, last question here says graph this equation. So you probably, pause the video, see how you do, but note that this is in intercept form. So that intercept form, should help you find some important pieces. So I have x times x times x, so this is going to be cubic. The 2 is positive, so I know that my graph is going to be rising from left to right and looking like, an odd function looks. So I also know that because it's an intercept form, then I'm going to have x-intercepts at 1 and negative 2 and positive 5. Okay, so I'm going to just blow up my graph for a second and draw in at 1, I already forgot what they were, 1, 5, and negative 2. Okay, so there are my x-intercepts. And then from there, again, I know that it's cubic, so I know that it's going to do this, so I can kind of envision that, and none of those are repeated, so it's got to cross through, but I don't know how wide, or how high and low those mins and max might go, so here's where you're going to need to test some points. Okay, so I'm going to, let's see, maybe I'll scooch this over here a little bit and make a table of values. So here we go. Now probably I want to test something in between these two, so maybe like negative 1 and 0 would be good. And then something in between these, so maybe 2 and 3. And then something beyond this one and beyond this one possibly, so maybe I'll just do like negative 3, and we'll see if we need more points. Okay, so using that function, and I'm just going to verbally talk through these, but negative 1, so that would be negative 1 minus 1 is negative 2 times 1, so that's negative 2. Actually, let me start here. 2 times negative 2 would be negative 4, times 1 would be negative 4, times negative 6 would be positive 24. Okay, now I'm going to do 0. So 2 times negative 1 is negative 2, times 2 is negative 4, times negative 5 is positive 20. I'm going to test 2. So 2 times 1 is 2, times 4 is 8, times negative 3 is negative 24. And then I'm going to test 3. So 2 times 2 is 4, 4 times 5 is 20, 5 times negative 2, no wait, let's start over. 2 times 2 is 4, 4 times 5 is 20, 20 times negative 2 is negative 40. Yeah, that sounds better. And lastly, I'll test negative 3. It's going to be a really big negative number. So 2 times negative 4 is negative 8. Negative 8 times negative 1 is positive 8. Positive 8 times negative 8 is negative 64. So yeah, a big negative number. So then I'm going to graph these. So negative 1 and 24. And I'm going to go off my graph, but you know, negative 1 and 24 would be like way up here, so I'm just kind of mental note it's way further, right? What else do I have? 0, 20. So 0, 20 is going to be just a little bit lower, but still, you know, way up there. 2 and then negative 24. So 2 and then negative 24 would be, you know, way down there. 3 is real negative, and negative 3 is also real negative. I'm not even going to bother with those points because really I can see that, you know, negative 3 was really negative. It's going to come way up here and go way down there, and you're good. And I won't make it go off the graph as much as I did this particular one. I didn't pick the best numbers, but you get the idea. So tedious, take your time.